This is a quick update on several projects. I'll start with the headline. Here's the formula behind the demo over here and some of my other demos. I'll go into more detail in a moment. I also want to discuss the Sandbox, where you can actually do some of this stuff yourself and take more control if you're a programmer type. And I've had some interesting results with the morphing. I'm just beginning this, but I really like what I've seen. And finally, some nice special effects for text that we'll take a close look at. All right, the formula behind perspective. It's real simple. In fact, there's only two inputs. How far is the object from the screen? So this is very far away, this is very close. And how close is the viewer to the screen? That's what gives you the different types of perspective. And basically, do you want stuff to be very obvious? In this case, you can see the difference a lot between the parts that are near and the parts that are far. But in other setups, everything starts to look more the same, and also you're losing some stuff off the side of the screen. In this case, we're actually going through the tube. The next example will make that a little more clear. Again, a lot of comments here, and this gives you a ratio. And all that ratio does is tell you how much to shrink stuff. So here it is right here. Element, style, transform, scale equals ratio. But we'll see it in action. Now, this formula is just one way to do it. You can use other tools. You've probably seen this before. This was me with 𝚙𝚎𝚛𝚎, and it's overkill for certain simple animations like this. But it's an option. And also down here, I showed off the perspective. I'm doing the same trick over here. So I am moving where the person is. This thing here is the person or the camera who's looking. And as you get closer and closer, things get more and more distorted, just because near and far are much more different. And if you go the other way, if the person moves further, then everything starts to look a little bit more the same. The distance between here and here is almost identical to the distance between here and here, but now it's totally different. So yeah, this is the exact same trick I'm using, and notice how I've got it attached. So the front of this cube always takes up this entire screen. And that's the same thing that's happening over here. In fact, all right, it might even be a little bit more obvious here because these things are touching the screen. We'll get back to that in a second. You may be asking, why don't I use the CSS properties? Seeing as they are pretty much doing the same thing, and if you look at the inputs, I think they're the same as I'm using. And the short answer is I've never gotten this to work. It's kind of a shame, but seemed easier just to do it myself and stop complaining. Or again, if you have a real project, a big project, this 𝚙𝚎𝚛 is amazing. All right, let's take a closer look at this. All right, let's take a closer look at this sandbox over here. Again, this is a demo that's kind of set up for just anyone to use. You don't need any programming skills, but this uses the same tools. So again, this box is right up against the screen, just like this one. And let me say controller dot distance So 0 is where we are right now. And again, that means right up against the screen. But I can say go back 1 unit. And it goes off into the distance. And also I can change the perspective, the exact same thing. And the default is 1. That's, whoops. That's 1 unit away. The camera is 1 unit back from the screen. So what happens if we change that a little, if we put the camera closer? Well, everything seemed to move because that was so far in the distance. You know what, let me move this back. So here it's touching the screen, so the ones in the front never change, but the ones that are further back will change with the perspective. So let's say 75. And again, it's exactly what's going on over here as you're changing the perspective to see there more or less. And by the way, it's just a ratio. If you remember similar triangles, the whole idea is if this is 1 unit and this is 2 units away from the viewer, then that means stuff back here, you're going to have twice as much stuff to show on the screen, so everything has to be half as big. We have to allow for all this unused space. So this thing here is about half as big. That's the back wall, is about half as big as the front wall. Okay, well you can again play with this yourself, and yeah, so all right, next, morph. This is something that again you get for free with a modern browser, and it's probably underutilized, and I just wanted to play with it. Everything you're seeing here is pretty much all done just by the CSS. Let's inspect. So yeah, all that's changing are these variables here. This now it's flashing on me. These paths, initial and final. And basically before I had any code, I was using this just to see what the tool does for me. Again, it'll get more interesting when I have something interesting to show here. And in fact, well, this first set of stuff came from Rough.js. Love this toolkit. So I was just morphing between something that was really rough and something that was really not rough. It was a quick way to get some test data. And then that led me up to this very old project that I've wanted to do. Basically, I had to make my own font because I couldn't find one that I liked or one that was appropriate for this. Everything is just a line, no fills, just lines. And that makes it easy for me to do various types of animation. I love this. I don't know exactly what this reminds me of, but all the blinking lights and the flickering and oh, it just reminds me of a lot of old signs. And oh, here I'm using the font for something totally different. I'm drawing things as if they were drawn by hand. I like that effect, but I don't see it a whole lot. So, and I didn't know how to get it from somebody else, so I just made it myself. There's a lot more that I want to do. I want to mix this with the morphing, and well, all these tools just kind of build on top of one another. So I'm very excited about all this, and I'll have some links down below so you can find all this stuff. You don't have to copy it off the screen. Thank you for watching.